It's the Cundy and Nathan Show.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Cundy and Nathan Show. My name's Nathan.
My name's Cundy.
And we are here on the most momentous day in our present lives, 23rd of June. 23rd of June, and it's a very, very important date for one specific reason, Matthew. Aha! Because Future Publishing have bought Imagine Publishing.
Oh!
Nothing else big happening today, right?
Nothing.
No. But that's big news, isn't it?
The Future... Yeah, what do Imagine do now? Were they still doing the same things as they always did?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Play?
I think
they still do Play?
Yeah. No. Actually, that's what I was going to say. They've that's closed down. So they had their last issue of that recently. I don't think there's an unofficial PlayStation magazine anymore.
That's it.
Yeah.
Future got so what have they bought then with Imagine? They used to do all the Pokemon stuff as well, didn't they? And Games TM, of course.
Yeah, they bought everything, and Retro Gamer as well.
How much did they pay for it?
It's like 16 million.
Woo! Where'd Future get that money from?
I don't know, because I heard that they had another round of redundancies recently, so I don't know.
Maybe they saved on the wages and treated themselves to a few more new magazines.
Yeah, because magazines are definitely not a dead industry. Or magazine publishing.
Hanging on in there, mate. They'll be like vinyl. They'll make the big comeback. Oh, look at me. I've got a paper magazine. I'm going to listen to my vinyl records and read a paper magazine.
It does feel...
That's basically me, so I don't know why I'm basically taking the piss out of me, sitting here with Edge magazine and listening to the fucking new Tellyman album on vinyls.
Look at him. Look at him. Oh,
in fairness, though, it's not because I'm fucking on the edge of something hip and happening.
Yeah.
It's just because I never transferred to digital in the first place.
Yeah.
So
you refuse to acknowledge its existence.
I'm so far in the past. The future has caught up with me.
Deary me. Deary me.
Is that possible? I don't know.
Can it go full circle? Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know, mate, but I do like exploring a wormhole every now and again.
I've heard that about you. But the deal between Imagine and Future, if you don't know, Imagine Publishing were always the rival. Me and Cundy used to work for Future Publishing. Future Publishing used to do like PSM2, where I started, and obviously PSM3, and then what else did they have? They had Edge as well at Future. They still do. And then the sort of rivals to that was like Play magazine for the PSM2, and they had unofficial Xbox magazines as well. And then they had, what was it?
Games TM.
Games TM as the rival to Edge. And it was and like when I first started in like 2004, and for until I left, actually, it was always constantly locking horns with the rival publications. There was always like that competition to get the most, the biggest exclusives, and the little in jokes in the actual copy of the magazines, like poking fun at the other magazines, and it was mad. It was crazy times, fun times as well, probably on both sides, and it just seems weird that that's now they're literally strange bedfellows.
Yeah, it was weird because before I joined Future, I was at Rapide in Exeter, which itself was like that was like a rival to Future as well.
Yeah.
But when Rapide went down the toilet, people scattered. Some went to it wasn't Paragon Publishing. It used to be called.
Yeah.
Paragon Publishing, which is in Bournemouth,
mm-hmm.
and some people went to Future. I didn't go to either. I went to for a while. I went to. Just
on your street corner, just doing fan fiction.
What were they called? They used to do. Oh my God! How do I not remember where I used to work?
My best bits of this podcast is any time you have to use your memory, because it's just, if only we had like a live cam showing it. Like, it's just the pure struggle and strain that's going through his face at the moment.
I can remember what they turned into Engine Publishing for a while, and we had an office in Bournemouth. It was really good to work for. I really enjoyed working there. It was a really small team, and only used to put out, I don't know, well, actually, used to put out quite a lot. I used to be in charge of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different like Pokemon magazines because they all got translated into Finnish and German, and they went all over the place. I always remember the Finnish covers were always the hardest to do because even the smallest English word would become like this 24-lettered beast of a word in Finnish, and it's quite hard to make it look make straplines look any good on covers of Finnish magazines. So fair play to the Finnish publishing massive.
Oh yeah,
you know,
to this publishing house that you can't even remember that you work for.
They should just all have really wide magazines in Finland so they can fit all their words on.
Yeah,
they have big words.
They probably do.
They have big words. Imagine the size of their magazine shelves. They must be like really long, like clown shoes, but shelves.
Like A3 paper. A3's bigger, isn't it?
A3's bigger, yeah.
Yes.
As the numbers get bigger, the paper gets smaller. Is that right? Is A1? No.
A5. A1's the biggest. Yeah.
So, but so I was kind of right.
Yeah,
A1's the biggest.
Yeah.
A5 gets smaller than A1, isn't it?
This is what people have tuned in for, the Paper Sizes podcast. It's a niche market that we're going after, but we think we got it cornered.
Well, so just imagine if people didn't know that about paper. I don't know who wouldn't know that.
No.
Well, maybe some of these new cool kids who've never used they might even have held paper in their hands. They'll be like, true. What's this stuff? What's this weird material? It's like water, but more solid, but still quite flexible.
Interestingly, I know that books have far more of an attraction than what magazines do and newspapers. But like Kindle and reading books on like devices like iPads and tablets and things like that, like they tried to defeat books, but books didn't. Like they battered them to death with their big thick pages. They just smashed them to bits.
Yeah,
and I think there's something to be said. Sorry, mate. There's something to be said about like having that actual physical papery smelling thing in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, occasionally I have the old twinge of guilt about vinyl because it's like. In terms of like it being good for the planet, it's really bad for the planet.
It is.
And digital. Whereas, on the Quimdall and stuff, you still got making the thing itself isn't exactly good for the planet. It's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it, mate?
Yeah.
You save somewhere and then
exactly
penguins are dying there instead of there.
Why are they killing the penguins? Are you killing?
They got. I don't know, mercury poisoning or something because of all the chips in microcomputers.
Microchips? Because they've been eating microwave chips?
I'm quite well read on this subject.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Yeah, I'm a big campaigner, so just one thing or the other is going to kill the penguins is what I'm saying.
And all of this relates back to Future Publishing buying Imagine Publishing, right?
Yeah.
Somehow.
So that's. I mean, does Future still because when I was at Future, they still pushing their they like all the app things was the next big thing that was.
No,
that's all gone.
They died a death. All of those.
So
things.
they are like their biggest thing is still what? Oh no, the biggest thing's not print. They got Games Radar, I suppose, and that's all.
Bookazines as well, I think, are doing quite well for them.
Bookazines.
Bookazines.
The Bookazines.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I think this is like. Things are a bit mental within the games industry at the moment in terms of like the shift. I know it's been coming for a long time, but like the shift to digital websites and all the rest of it. It caught a lot of publishers off guard, especially Imagine and Future. They dragged their heels like to get their websites up and running and get them competing with the likes of GameSpot and IGN and the rest of them.
Yeah.
And they're managing to sustain themselves in a tough market, which is obviously like advertising funds are down, so these people are still going, which is fantastic. And then, but there's also a step now where even established games websites are struggling. Like they're having to come up with different ideas for how to get money. And yesterday or the day before, I think it was, they just closed Destructoid down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I think it was a UK side of it. But yeah, that's all closed down.
It's still on the internet. What if I type in Destructoid now? It's not there.
I think the UK side of it is gone. It'll probably still be there, but I think it's like maybe it's the end of this month, end of June, that they're closing it all down.
Oh.
But yeah, the staff I think are looking to start their own thing, so best of luck to them. But it's just go on.
So I thought Destructoid was a thing started by the own thing. So this is another someone's own thing.
Yeah. But the UK side of it.
Right, okay. So he used to do some stuff for the UK.
He did, yeah.
Side of Destructoid, didn't he? I
and
think.
Jim Sterling did as well, right?
Sterling.
Yeah.
I don't go to Destructoid a lot, I must admit. It's not one I've ever really...
Well,
it's always felt very more American-centric.
You're part of the problem, mate. Let's blame you.
So are Future going to shut? What are they going to do? They're going to keep? Do we know? Does anyone know?
They'll probably just close their rivals down. Isn't that how you sort of get ahead in business these days? Buy them out, close them down, and then make your product the only one on the market and make it more expensive. I don't know.
Well, I'll watch that. I probably won't. But,
we won't watch it.
Because just go back to Future. I'm just trying to think of one of their titles, magazine titles, that has managed to kind of do the on-bridge the paper and a digital thing. How does the PC Gamer site do?
That does well. Yeah, that's a good example actually.
And is their mag still? And is the PC Gamer mag still doing?
I think it's still doing the numbers because it's still going, and they still seem to have the same size team as they did. You can always tell when something's going down the Swanee when they start like shaving off the staff. But yeah, I think
shaving the staff. Some of them did need shaving as well. Oh, they were hairy beasts. Yeah, so that's interesting. That's a development in the history of video games.
It is, but like all that people are going to be able to rely on now is like the old bent paid for verdicts from YouTube entities. Did you see that? Do you see that one from? You see that one from? E3. It was like I think the guy's like called typical gamer or something like that, and it was so paid for. It was like, oh, here's the best thing at E3. It's a Samsung like Galaxy S. This is the best gaming machine type of thing, and it's like, and the guy obviously like put it up as an ad, but had been told make sure it looks like organic. And then was just sort of battered with about 1,000 tweets going, oh my God, what the hell are you doing? Like, obviously this is paid for. So I mean, it's a strange way. I feel like the control over the messaging and everything now has gone back to the marketeers because they just pay for the big people. Stop trying to interrupt me while I'm finishing my bloody sentence. Go on, mate. Go on.
That's right. I was just twitching. Spasm. Well, that was always the biggest problem I had at Future was always that backward and forward. Someone wants to pay for this content. Okay, yeah, we need to flag it up to show that it's paid for. And why do we need to do that? And it was like this. It just seemed to be like a never-ending battle. I think in the end they kind of they got that you couldn't just have podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, they stopped podcasts for a long time.
You couldn't have podcast. You couldn't just have content. It's because I looked at the word podcast on my screen and then I just said it.
Yeah.
So good job there wasn't another worse word there that I just.
Well, that'll always come out regardless with you, won't it?
But there was always a battle between like the ads boys and editorial about. And they knew, and you would go to the publishers and go, right, look, this is the shit that's going down. The publisher would always do the right thing in the end, but it was always like, oh no, you don't need to do that. What do you mean you don't need to flag something up as like paid for content?
Yeah,
don't need to worry about that. Forget it.
Paid for advertorials. Yeah,
exactly. The old advertorial, sponsored content, whatever you want to call it. It's always just like
I remember one that we did. I can't remember what the game was, but we did one in the magazine, and like it was like. From the person that was paying for it, was like, oh, you guys just write it. Yeah, it's fine to flag it as advertorial. Like it's okay. It was like a page, and then and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, I need to see the final copy. It's like, right, okay. It's like, right, okay, I need to make this change, right? And then we need to take off paid advertorial, like the bit that signals it. And then it was just like constantly ringing up the person on our magazine who was dealing with it, and was like, yeah, you need to change this, you need to change that, you need to do all of these other things. And it was like, what the hell's going on here? When did this happen? And I think the publishers did step in the end and just sort of said, like, no more. Like, it is what it is. You told us to create it. This is what the brief was. This is exactly how it's going in. So it was all sorted in the end. But yeah, just that old Frey Bentos. Do you remember the was you there on? Oh yeah, you definitely was there when they gave a car away. When they was doing a competition in the magazine to give a car away. It was.
Don't remember. No.
It was in conjunction with. Was it Mashed? Or something like that, or Flat Out. It was one of those games anyway.
Oh, it could have been a Flat Out. I do vaguely remember a Flat Out competition.
And it was like win a car. And we was like, right, okay. And then the PR brought it down, and it was like a second-hand car that he'd got from like a, or it might have even been third-hand car. It was like a Citroen Zara. Like Y-Reg, back in this day, it was like, you know, they'd already moved on to the 01, 02, 03 Reg, so it was like about 5-6 years old it was, and it's like, oh yeah, like take some pictures of it and put it in the magazine, like, because this is the car that we're going to give away. It was the one of the bentest things I've ever seen, but the people are getting a little insight into publishing here, a little bit of the shady world of magazine creation.
Behind the velvet curtain.
Yeah.
Behind is the curtain velvet or is the rope velvet?
Whatever you want, mate.
The rope is velvet. I don't know if the curtain's velvet, it'd be quite heavy. You'd need to make sure you got good fixings in the wall, otherwise it would just bring the whole lot down.
Yeah, that is
and then you'll
true.
have then everything's just exposed for good. But maybe that's what you want.
Just keep it as a normal curtain then, with a velvet rope. I think
it's more CB on the net curtains, because that's always, you know, when I see net curtains up. What's going on in there? What have you got to hide?
Surely net curtains are just to stop nosy people seeing into your house, though, as they walk past your window.
No, it's the other way round, mate. It's to stop people seeing what's going on in freaking, you know, suburbia land. All those weird, twitchy net curtains going, and like, they're in there. They're in the front room. Missus has got a strap on, ramming the...
Oh, what? Where's this come from?
On, mate. It goes on.
No. Maybe at Mr. Cundy's house, but
I ain't got any net curtains up.
Oh yeah, because you don't care.
Just there for all to see.
All in. That's made me think of like Rose and Fred West. Why have you done that?
Oh, well, I wasn't. I was thinking more. I was thinking more of the Irvine Welsh Grant and Star cause.
You leave the Irvines out of this. You dirty rat.
The Welsh Irvines, that is, mate. Yeah, there's what's it called? I think it's part of one of the Acid House short stories, and there's one in there, and the guy gets turned into a fly. He meets God in a bar, and he says, "Oh, if you're really God, why is everything shit in the world?" And then God decides to turn him into a fly, and then he witnesses he goes to his mum and dad's house where he's living, and he witnesses his mum with a strap on doing his
mate.
Old man.
What is going on here? What's going on?
And then.
Stop this! No, we need to get back from the brink.
And then while they're in the midst of doing it, like his sister, their daughter rings up, and the mum answers while she's still all trussed up and dressed up and everything, and she's just like, "Yeah, I'm just putting your dad's dinner on. I can't be too long, darling. I have to go." And it's like, horrible images of like when you ring your parents, and it's like they're saying, "Oh yeah, just doing a bit of gardening or whatever," and it's like, you don't know what they're up to.
Come on now. Come on.
You know, they're red-blooded humans.
Stop this. I feel sick.
They're up to all sorts.
Stop
they've
it.
run out of options. They've tried everything. They resort to all the weird, deviant shit.
Come on now.
Come on. Anyway, let's get them velvet curtains open.
Get them down. Let's shut the whole thing down. Should we talk about some games?
Get this podcast going.
Can we talk about some games?
What's happened? Did we even talk about the referendum?
That's for our upcoming special. The old referendum special.
The never-ending story. Sick of it.
Yeah, that's for the next podcast. Let's just keep it games and double dildos.
Let's just keep it games apart from that first half an hour.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know how long we've been talking. I've gone into a wormhole again.
Doesn't matter. Just carry on. Have you been playing anything new?
Yeah. Well, that's funny you should mention that, mate. Because about 20 minutes before we started this podcast, do you know what? I haven't played anything. Life has been busy.
Yeah.
I have played something, but honestly, it was about 20 minutes before we started the podcast.
What was it?
Life has been busy. Well, last time we talked about that Gone Home.
Oh, yeah.
Very briefly talked about it. It was one of the PS Plus games. I was like, I fancy playing that. So I downloaded that, had a crack on that. Completely not the game I thought it was. I got all my art styles mixed up. The art style of it looks a little bit like...
Hurdy-gurdy.
Boy in his blob. No. The art style looks like... There's one called Don't Starve.
Oh, yeah,
I was getting the two, because I think last time I said, Gone Home, I think it's about monsters.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying that, and I was like, is it? Didn't question it, because even I wasn't sure, but...
Yeah, within 3 seconds of it loading, I'm like, I've got this wrong. I've made a massive error in judgment here. And,
it takes a big man to admit it, though, mate. And a small man to be banged to rights.
But yeah, so I got that wrong. But I did spend most of that 20 minutes going through the PlayStation Store to try and find the game that I thought it was. Cause I couldn't remember what it was called. But I did find it, and it was called Don't Starve. Gone Home looks alright though. I'll give it a go.
Oh, you went through looking for Don't Starve, not actually looking for Gone Home.
I downloaded Gone Home, but when I started it and realised it wasn't the game I was looking for, or thought it was, I thought, what is the one I was thinking of? And because I could not remember, I've not got the best memory in the world.
Really? I hadn't noticed.
So I just went through the PlayStation Store digital area, like page by page, just to find it, and I did find it. And it was called Don't Starve.
Excellent stuff.
But yeah, Gone Home. Do you know what? I started and I was like, oh, it's a bloody walk around game.
Yeah.
Games where you're just walking around.
What was that other one that you played that was walking around?
Firewatch.
Firewatch. That's it.
Oh wait, Firewalk. That would have been more interesting. Sitting around a firewalk having a bloody chat, playing that load of old balls.
Yeah.
But what? So you start the game. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's
a few
years old now.
All right.
A few years old.
Hang on. Are you reading off Wikipedia there?
No, not.
All right.
No,
okay.
not at all.
See, it really looks like you're reading off Wikipedia there. I mean, it's printed out, but it does look like you are.
I've got the whole internet printed out in folders. Yeah. You start the game. You're like a girl, and you come home from. I think you've come home from being travelling. Sounds like I think you've been travelling. Yeah, because you've got a bag. There's a big bag.
You've gone home, obviously. Not you've come home. Yeah.
Oh yeah, see why it's called Gone Home now. It's clever. And you arrive at night, and it's all fairly dark in the house, and there's a storm outside, and there's no one there, and something doesn't seem right. And at first I was like, I got to wander around and walking about doing stuff. But in the short, it was probably a bit longer than 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
I was kind of in. I'm kind of engaged.
Okay.
So, which is more than I can say for Firewatch. So I'm gonna keep going with it, mate. Everyone's missing. Like mum and dad's not there. There's some notes from your sister saying, "I've left. Don't bother trying to find me."
Are they? Are the mum and dad in the attic with the strap on, and the sister's trying to ring them?
Well,
is that what's going on?
I'm just getting your dad to tea on. I'll ring you back in 20 minutes. Well, funny you should say about the attic, actually, because that's just about where I've got to. There's all red lights around the attic loft hatch thing, and apparently it's your sister's. She has a dark room up there, and she says it, and it's a note that says if the red lights are on, don't come up. And that's as far as I got. So I'm going to do a bit more of that, but yeah. So that's what I've been playing for 20 minutes before the podcast.
Excellent. Did you play Everybody's Gone to the Rapture?
No, that's a walking and talking, isn't it?
It is. That's why I was gonna ask you. It's like a mystery game, right?
I don't know. A lot of people go on about it.
I thought you'd have been into it because it's in like a little sort of like local town for local people, and you're sort of having a check around to see where everyone's gone.
Like in a Cornwall or something.
Hang on, wait. If everyone's gone to the Rapture, if that's the title of the game, then you already know where everyone's gone. So what's... see, that's the intriguing part. What's going to happen there?
I don't know. Is it like the Wicker Man?
Big, giant Wicker Man at the end.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
The bees. Obviously, the Nicolas Cage one is duff, but...
Yeah.
You know.
But it's the most recent one.
Edward one's great. I love the Edward Wood one.
The Equalizer.
Wait. Is that the Equalizer? Oh no, that was that Knight Rider.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
It was. I didn't even know I knew the theme tune to Knight Rider. He used to live near me, old Edward Wood.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He used to live just by the Tamar Bridge. Not Tamar Bridge. Hang on. The bit that divided Devon and Cornwall wasn't the Tamar Bridge because that's the one that goes into Saltash. Come on, you bugger. River Tavy Bridge? I can't remember. I think it's down with a T. It was a bridge. There was a river and Cornwall was on the other side. We used to stand there and throw stones across.
What, at him?
No, at Cornwall.
Poor Edward Woodward. No wonder he turned into the Equalizer.
Edward Wood. There's a joke there, but I can't quite remember what it was. Something about Edward Wood.
You'll get there. You'll get there by the end of the podcast. I've not actually been playing anything new. Come on.
We're going to be hemorrhaging listeners after this. They're going to
Come
be like,
on.
I don't even know if people listen to this for like gaming podcast. They just listen.
No, they don't. They just listen to our nonsense. Yours specifically.
The insightful.
Exactly.
Observations of life.
Exactly. You get what you're given, don't you? You get what you're given. But did I tell you that I finished Metal Gear? Did I tell you that I finished it properly?
Fuck me.
I did,
you told
didn't
me
I?
that about 8 times.
I did, didn't I? Well, the reason why I'm going to talk about it again is because I can't stop playing it. I've got other games. I've got other games that I could be playing. I really want to go back to Bloodborne, and I've got like various other games that I could be firing up right now, but I can't quit Metal Gear 5. It just won't let me go. With these little challenges that it provides every week, I feel myself just diving back in, creating more weapons, finding more people, doing more of the side missions. Like, it's just there's a lot of bloody game there. There's a lot of game. And
Are they still updating it with like daily new task things?
Weekly tasks, yeah.
Weekly tasks.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's probably too much to hope for any DLC for it, because seeing as though that studio is closed down and Kojima's making weird shit with Norman Reedus.
Game about dead fish.
Yeah. But I read an interview recently. There's nothing more to say about Metal Gear. I'm just still playing it. But Kojima said he was interviewed, I think, by Eurogamer, and they was questioning him on that Death Stranding thing that he was doing with Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
And they said he said that there was a lot of like symbolism in there, and he wanted people to start thinking about various things. So the rumor on the internet at the moment is that it's a new Metal Gear that they're doing. All of the sort of like the death on the beach and stuff is the fans that have been left for dead.
We're the dead fish.
Yeah. The baby is like that's Metal Gear to Kojima. You know, the baby, it was there, he loved it, and then it disappears. Norman Reedus is supposed to be Kojima as well in this analogy. And then, you know, when he's looking out to sea and there's like 4 or 5 figures.
Oh yeah, floating.
Yeah. Well, there's talk of that being like Ocelot, Snake, all the sort of the main 4 or 5 dudes and dudettes from the Metal Gear series.
Sounds like an ocelot of bullshit to me.
It does sound like an ocelot of bullshit, and I think it could be. But It's an interesting way to introduce a new Metal Gear. I think I'd like some more of Metal Gear 5, but
it could actually be a Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not. What they're basically trying to say is that, or some people are trying to link on the internet, is that he's going to be doing another Metal Gear elsewhere, or they were saying that there's symbols on his neck, on Norman Reedus' neck, where it's about like warping, like it's scientific sort of symbols on his neck which says like warping between different time periods.
Right.
So they're saying like it might just be that's what Snake's new mission might be, like going between different decades and time traveling.
Sounds like he's wasted his fucking time making something with a load of dead fish in it that doesn't mean shit all to anyone apart from Hideo Kojima.
I mean, that's aren't all of his games that much? Aren't they all that sort of inward looking anyway?
I'm not playing his what does it mean games. I'm
Right.
not doing it. I would play a new game by Hideo Kojima for sure because I want to play a new thing that isn't Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Because I've said it before. I was done with Metal Gear after the one on the oil rig, and I just couldn't find my way back into the series.
On Big Shell, you mean? Not.
You know what?
rig.
I'm like in conversations where, like, there's everyone standing there, and I'm like, and you're trying to find your way into the conversation.
Yeah.
And I just end up like awkwardly shuffling, doing the little shuffling around the conversation,
Falling over, spilling your pint, trousers fall down. Yeah.
Inevitably, I end up just going and sitting on my own on the steps or something like that, and that's kind of what I felt like with Metal Gear, like trying to get into the conversation, but just was always on the outside of it.
I think, as I said on the last podcast, I think you can appreciate definitely the latest one. You can appreciate it on a level that is just about the game, rather than about the little tweaks and dynamics and the story and all the rest of it. Because I don't play that game for the story, and if anyone does, they're mental, because it's just sort of like the unbridged. What's it called? The unbridged run-ins of Kojima's brain, like just splattered all over it. Nobody's gone to edit it. It's just like have all of this information and this shit that doesn't make sense. Ooh, enfants terribles. Look at this.
Is that what Kojima talks like?
Yeah. Have you never heard him
Zippy?
talk? Yeah.
Like Zippy.
A lot like Zippy. Do you not know that he used to do his voice?
Was he in the suit? Was he in the suit?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what that needed, more Zippy, more bungle. Maybe like an oily bungle, like dead on the beach.
I think he's bungling the storylines.
Jeffrey is the baby. I don't know what it all means. I just watched it and was like, oh, is there something about dead fish in oil? And
speaking of Rainbow, there, did you see that Jane and
Freddie?
Jane and Freddie got married.
What about Rod? What happened to Rod?
Or was it Jane and Rod?
Well, it could have been Rod and Freddie. Who knows?
No, one of them's dead.
Well, well, could have got weird.
What? A three-way?
Well, one of Rod, Jane, and Freddie's dead.
I think so.
You've made.
It's
this
not
up,
Rod
mate.
Hull, is it?
No.
Who's the most famous one? Is it Rod?
Well, out of Rod, Jane, and Freddie, they were equal, mate. They were equals.
But who went on to do the other stuff with Rainbow?
No one. Was
it always three of them?
Yeah, Rod, Jane, and Freddie, and then there was always three of them. And what was the main? There was hang on a minute. What was the pink hippo called? He was Jeffrey.
He was Jeffrey, yeah.
Rod, Jane, and maybe Rod was the main guy who presented it.
Yeah, I thought so. Rod and Jane, I think, got married recently.
I thought there was like a separate. I thought there was like a separate three. I thought there was the main guy, and then there was the three, Rod, Jane, and Freddie. But I think you're right. I think because you were right the other day about that thing about the dog, the giant dog thing that I thought was not real, and then you
Digby.
Digby, which I'm not seen. I see. I think you're right. I think Rod was the presenter, and also when Jane and Freddie would come on, he'd do a little sing-song with them.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a separate person.
Yeah, they got married recently. Jane and Freddie. Oh, no, it was Jane and Freddie that got married.
Ah.
Jane moved on from ex-husband Rod.
Oh,
so it was
going on there?
It was all going on.
Wow. God, behind the scenes,
Do you know what?
Guitar.
Wait, I need to just say something here. When I was thinking, and you know, we're blowing people's minds with our contemporary references here. Let's not just move past that. But Rod, Jane, and Freddie. Whenever I thought about them, I always thought of the guy from Rainbow, but it's not, is it? It's the main guy from Rainbow looks completely different. What the hell was he called? I'm looking at Rod, Jane, and Freddie now. I barely recognise them.
Was Jeffrey not called? No, what was the? I'm getting confused with the hippo. The hippo's name. There was Zippy and George was the hippie.
Yeah.
Jeffrey was the guy.
Yeah, but who was?
Yeah.
So we're using the internet. It's gone. It's turned into a mess. This. But I'm looking at it now. No, who's the other guy?
I've just said it. Jeffrey. Jeffrey was the main guy who presented it. Because George would always go, oh, Jeffrey, like that. And George was the pink hippo. Who Zippy was always like having a go at.
And he'd get his... Yeah, it was Jeffrey, yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was Jeffrey, and the hippo was George. I was getting me Jeffreys and Georges mixed up. Schoolboy error.
Literally schoolboy error.
That's classic.
There we go.
So there we are. So that's it. Kojima's doing a Rainbow game.
Yeah, brilliant. So we put a little bit of a different twist on the listeners' questions this week.
Yes.
Yes, we posed the question. We posed it. And the question was, I'm just going straight in, mate. I'm going straight in. Are you ready?
Do it.
Because this is the first time you're reading it, because you never read the agenda. It's, what game sparked your love of gaming and why?
Aha!
And despite what I said off air, I'm going to make you go first.
What's this all about? What? Oh, God. No, I've got...
I'll go first. I'll go first.
Oh, no, I got one.
Have you got one?
I got one. Yeah,
they're
all in the bag, mate.
All right.
Time.
Go on then.
Well, I reckon like my first introduction to games was probably like the old. That I would have seen like arcade games quite early. I can remember going to Goosey Fair, which used to be like some old pagan ritual.
Goosey Fair. This is something you've made up, mate.
No, I think it travels the country. I don't think it used to just be like a Devon thing. It used to come like the first Wednesday in October.
This is rubbish.
Or the second Wednesday. It's Goosey Fair, mate.
I'm looking it up.
Goose Fair, it's for real. And they'd always have quite a good. They'd have all the dodgy rides and everything.
Yeah. Well, there it is. Look, there it is, Goosey Fair.
One of the best things about Goosey Fair was before when they'd all come and set up. You could go on the rides and do test rides for free.
like a crash test dummy.
Yeah, we want to just check all the bolts and everything are in tight. So if you lot could get on it and have a, I never thought about it at the time, but
yeah,
they wouldn't do that now, would they?
No, I think there's probably health and safety reasons for that. Yeah,
just parents like, get down there, kids. Yeah, it's free rides. Get down there, test them out. But they had arcades down there, and I would have seen. I can't remember what. I can remember like my stepdad playing. I think there's one called Night Driver or something.
Right.
And I think it was still like it had a steering wheel, and it still had like some mechanical, like a mechanical element. I don't know if it was actually an electronic thing. So the road was moving. And he was steering something that probably was attached to the actual steering wheel.
So was it like a bit of plastic with a car on it and then the screen in the background? Or was it all digital, like 8-bit, 16-bit?
No, not... I think some aspect of it, I think the screen may have been digital somehow, or electronic, not digital. Could have been LEDs or something like that, you know?
Did they have LEDs in 1940s?
Maybe bulbs or candles or something. I don't know.
Candles, hundreds and hundreds of candles.
And I suppose apart from that, that would have been like an early introduction. But then earlier than that, probably would have been like my cousin's Specky like mates of mine who had computers, and I always remember going to my cousin's house. He had a Specky and had like Horace Goes Skiing.
Yeah.
Attic Attack.
Attic Attack. Yeah.
Yeah. All of it. I mean, this is like early 80s, I suppose.
Yeah, it was.
And then other than that, I would have had like handheld games, like. Well, I don't even know if they probably would have been cheaper ones, like not the Game & Watch stuff. It would have been like my folks would have bought me some shitty old knockoff thing that cost like a tenth of the price, like for good reason.
I remember those Donkey Kong ones, the ones that you used to open. Were they Game & Watch? Is that what it was?
Yeah, the Game & Watch ones.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So again, they would have been all early 80s stuff. But yeah, I mean, I used to play that stuff. For the handheld stuff, I'd just be on it all the time, like like be a juggling man, keeping balls in the air, play that 4 hours straight. Because once you can, there's no, where the ball's going to go. It just gets faster. You can see. I used to like pressing the screen down, so you could see every possible permutation of where of what could happen, because it would press all the,
So you was pioneering cheating back in the day. Brilliant.
But yeah, so it must be stuff like that, and I was just hooked after that. And I think my first thing I bought was probably, I can't remember if I got an Atari first or a Commodore 64 first. I can't remember. But and then on the Atari it would have been stuff like Pac-Man, which is generally regarded as being one of the worst versions of Pac-Man ever made on the Atari 2600.
I don't know. Did you play any of those PS2 ones, the 3D ones?
Like Pac-Man World.
Yeah.
I didn't mind all those.
Oh, God.
I didn't mind them, but I was quite upset when I found out that people thought the Pac-Man on the Atari 2600 was shit. So I only, back then, I mean, I didn't read any games magazines or anything then. I just would see stuff in the shop. I used to get Atari games from Trago Mills in Cornwall. And I would just go, that's it. I'd just go in there and buy stuff down there. And whatever I bought, I loved, even if it was terrible, even if it was awful. I just love it and play it endlessly. Pac-Man, I used to play for hours.
Would you say Pac-Man was your gateway into it then, into gaming, as in like to for the love of it, rather than just something that you played every now and again?
No, I would say it would be those early, like the early Specky stuff and the early arcade stuff was the thing that kind of was like, this is something I'm actually like weirdly really into.
Oddly enough, the one that led me into loving games was Chaos on the Spectrum. I've probably talked about this on previous podcasts before. In fact, I think I remember. I think a few weeks ago I might have mentioned the Chaos Reborn. I'd kick-started it, and I only realised that I'd got the PC code for it. I'd got it about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've only just fired it up. And as soon as I did, I was like, it's not as good as the previous one. I want out. What have I paid for? I want my money back, Julian Gallop. I want my money back. But yeah, it was Chaos. Like, I'd played games before that. Played lots more games before that in the arcades at Blackpool and on Spectrum and VIC-20 and various other machines. But I think when we moved the Spectrum up into my bedroom, and I must have been pretty young then, and I didn't have that many games for it, but the one game that did work, there was always like just a couple of games that worked out of about the 50 games that you did have.
Yeah.
Well, like, I didn't even have that many, but I remember Chaos worked every single time, whereas the other games didn't, like Freddy Harvest and stuff like that. And it was just, I remember being sat in my bedroom and playing it, and being like, because I was an only child, and just like playing it and going like, oh, this is really good. And I remember just like skipping, like going for my dinner and going for like anything. I just wanted to get back to my room and play Chaos. And at the time, I was like, games will never get any better than this. Never get any better.
Future.
Yeah, exactly. In the future, even with all the technology that we've seen, like if I'd have told myself back then, if I'd have gone back and said this is what games will be like, I wouldn't have believed them, because I was that into Chaos. But that was the gateway drug for me.
That was it. That's what kicked it all off.
Yeah.
I didn't have one specific one. Mine was just like, I like it. Oh, all of it. I want all of it.
Yeah. Give me more. But the love of chaos then led on to like other Spectrum games. I remember I used to go to like Bury Market. So you used to go to Bury Market, and then there was like they used to have a. Did you have bric-a-brac sales? Do you know what they are? Is that
just like a flea market, general sale, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So they used to have one of those at like the local library, and I used to go there with my uncle and just pick out like loads of games, just because it was even back then it was like 10 games for like £1 or something daft. Only one of them would work, but 10 games for £1 was good stuff. And I think it was there that we got Chaos, or it might have been free with a magazine. I can't even remember, but I used to love going there on the weekend and just picking up like loads of games. I distinctly remember having a Yogi Bear game, Yogi and Friends, that and a Grange Hill game for was it Amstrad? I think it was for the Amstrad because and it was all shit, all terrible. But that's how I got into it. So should we read out some of the responses that we got on Twitter?
Yeah.
Yes. If you want to respond to any of our questions, then you need to get yourselves following us on Twitter, which is Cundy Nathan Show, at Cundy Nathan Show. Let's read the first one out. This was from Han Solo. She says the Crash Bandicoot games on PS1. Very good. Some of the first game that I remember playing on my first ever console. I never got into Crash Bandicoot.
Come on.
I think maybe I was just a little bit too old for it.
Everyone loved Crash 1, didn't they? I used to love Crash 1.
Did you? I hated it.
What's up with
I hated his face.
The running away from the
boulder
thing. I remember that being quite a moment in games, especially like. It was in quite an early PS1 game, wasn't it? Crash.
Yeah.
It was
launch game. No.
No, it wasn't a launch game, but it was. It was good. I enjoyed playing Crash.
Good.
I liked the bit with the rock.
Excellent. I think at the same time, and this might have. I don't know if it came out before or after, and I've got the computer in front of me, and I'm not even bothering to check. But there was Taz the Tasmanian Devil as well.
Yeah.
Round about the same time, I think it was on the Mega Drive, and I just preferred that because I was into the cartoon, and I just felt like Crash was a rip-off of it. I know it never played out like that, but I just felt like that's what Taz was doing, yeah. Because he did a spin attack, didn't he?
That was his thing, wasn't it? He would like spin.
Yeah. Go mental.
Spin.
He'd
go
just
crazy.
Spin. Yeah.
But there was lots of those, like PS1 was good, or that generation was good for those kind of mascot games.
Yeah.
What do we have now? Who's around? Oh, well, Crash is on the way back, I suppose, but...
Nathan Drake, that's it.
Who else? We need some more, like, animals.
Everyone, they're all just, like, gruff men now, skinheads.
That's what's happened, is because we said this before, the games industry's grown up, and instead of, like I don't know, cute crocodiles running around collecting eggs or whatever, we've got men running around.
Cute Kratos.
Post-apocalyptic dystopia.
We've got cute Kratos going on.
Did you see any of the God of War bits that were in the trailer that you may have missed? 10 things you may have missed in the God of War trailer?
I didn't know.
Oh, it's quite interesting. There's like a massive giant snake in one of the bits. You can see it in the trees, just as near the bit where they killed the stag. Feel the stag. The bit where they feel the stag. Get the beast in your sights. Where they kill it, in the background, you can see this thing and it looks like a big. Well, it's a snake.
Is it a snake?
Yeah, it is.
Do you see its head?
No, you just see its scaly back.
Could it be another Medusa?
Well, people are saying it's some Norse. There's some giant snake in Norse mythology called Barry or something. It's Barry the giant Norse snake.
Barry Snake.
Barry Snake. and then there's other bits where there's some floating ghosts or spectres or wraiths or probably some other Norse things from something or other. But yeah, that was cool.
Maybe you can send me a link to that. That'd be interesting. All right, okay. Mark Walsh, Captain Fudgesicle. He says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES. Loved the Turtles as a kid, and that's what drew. Come on, mate. And that's what drew me in. The game's rock hard though. Fuck electric seaweed, he says. Now, up until that point when he said fuck the electric seaweed, I was scratching my brain like trying to work out like if I'd actually played it. And then he mentioned that, and I was like, yes, I do remember that. It was rock hard, so difficult.
I never played it. I don't think I was ever really into the Turtles.
Too old for you, mate. Too young for you. That you was what 50, 51, 52?
I was more into Terrapins. If there'd been the Teenage Mutant Ninja Terrapins, I used to like. I always wanted a Terrapin, but
I had a Terrapin.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is it alive?
I was at primary school, and you know, like they always get class pets in.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, during the summer, there was like, right, who wants this Terrapin? And I said, yeah, I'll take it. And my mum hadn't said that was okay. But there we go. We ended up in a taxi on the last day of school, taking this bloody tank full of water and a Terrapin back home with us. And I think it fell out.
I was going to say, I feel like this story's got a bad ending for the Terrapin.
Well, we was feeding it, but you know how kids are. I was like, I've done with that now. You can feed that, can't you, Mum? And the tank was leaking, which was a bad thing. And I distinctly remember having to find the number of my primary school teacher at the time and arrange to take it to her house.
Get Terrapin Social Services on you, mate. Have it taken away.
Oh, good times. Greg Christie says, I'd always liked gaming growing up, but it wasn't until Ocarina of Time that I began to love it.
Shit, mate, that's making me feel old.
Says his username is Greg C87, so that would, he's a lot younger than you, like by about a good 30 years, right? Oh, hey!
Well, I remember playing Ocarina of Time when I was like, I didn't even live at home with my parents anymore.
Wow.
I actually lived in a flat with my, current Mrs. Cundy. Me and current Mrs. Cundy. No kids. This is before chilblains. But
all right, yeah.
We had a cat, right?
Was you know? Oh, was that when you were squatting? Yeah.
I used to love the Ocarinal of Time.
Ocarinal.
I used to call it something else, but I can't remember. Oh, the Legend of Zeldar. That's it. Legend of Zeldar.
That was worth the wait.
It wasn't.
Alundra Wellman's got a few little. He's put a few tweets in here because it was a difficult one to sort of answer and actually say within 140 characters exactly why.
I think everyone's done quite well so far because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. But yeah, I mean, just going back to Ocarina of Time and Teenage Mutant Ninja Terrapins.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, what a great game to that be your one that I could see how that would happen.
Yeah.
Because that was still like a significant game that I played, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, there's games and then there's games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like real games and then.
So there's games that stick in your mind and they stay with you.
Mm.
You know, that was one of them. You don't get many games like that.
Never played a single Zelda.
Come on, mate. You
I've
gotta just play something.
Have that in your pipe. No.
Have you not even ever tried one?
Don't think so. No. Yeah. It's not. I was never a Nintendo boy, was I?
You're a Terrapin boy.
Terrapin boy. Terrible Terrapins. Anyway, Alundra Wellman says, Sonic the Hedgehog blew my fucking mind out of my ears.
Right.
I'd played a few games, but that was a game changer. It was fast, colourful, and had catchy tunes. And it seems normal now, but to me at the time, that Japanese element was alien. The art style wasn't like anything I'd seen, since most anime had an age rating at the time. There wasn't even Pokemon, and Western cartoons were so brash and colourful or detailed. But if it wasn't for Namco and Tekken, Time Crisis and Ridge Racer, I might have stopped playing games. I liked the PlayStation a lot, and the PlayStation had a lot of variety and invention, even if it wasn't always well executed.
Yes, good points there.
Yeah, and I think the Namco games, like back in the day, you sort of forget just how good they were. like the ground that they were sort of breaking at the time. It was pretty cool. I used to play a lot of the Namco games in the arcade, like Time Crisis and was it Point Blank, the one where the gun actually did a ricochet, like a recoil type of thing.
Yeah, well, because they had their own gun as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't they have their own?
I think
gun.
so.
Point Blank was more like the cartoony looking one.
Point Blank was like the skill game, like rather than a Virtua Cop Time Crisis style thing. This was more of a shooting targets, shooting balloons, seeing how many you could shoot in 10 seconds, using the gun and putting your finger in the trigger and like using it as a rapid fire with your other finger in the gun, finger banging it.
Oh God!
What's up, mate? What's up, mate? What's up?
And what was the first one he said? I forgot already. Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonic. Yeah, because I didn't really know anyone that had a Mega Drive. So, my first encounter with Sonic was funny enough, ran at my first dealer's house.
Oh, come on, mate!
I'm just saying, this is years ago now.
Hello, police.
I had a dealer back then.
Hello, police. Yes.
I used to go and I was meant to have been doing. It's when I was we're training to be an electrician, which worked out well.
Oh yeah.
Probably so I used to go
mixing being an electrician with high powered drugs. Yeah, can't see any problems with that. But at least we know why your brain's frazzled though.
I had like day release. I'd go into like college on a Friday, I think it was, into Plymouth, and dealer's house was just down the road. So we'd always go down there at lunchtime, and then that was it. End of the day.
End of the day, playing Sonic the Hedgehog off your tits.
I didn't mind Sonic. It was too fast for me. Whoa! It was too fast for me. We always ended up playing a board game called Carom, which is a bit like pool. It was a bit like pool, but it was like you used to a bit like pool and Subbuteo combined.
Oh right, yeah.
You ever play Carom?
It sounds shit. It sounds like the type of game that you would play when you're high on drugs.
Well, it was either that or Sonic. I used to sit and watch people play Sonic, but I'd play it and I'd get frustrated every time I stopped. Every time I hit something, I was like, "Oh shit! Now I don't like it now."
So you was only interested in the momentum of it.
Well,
Perfect
Gav,
runs.
like my mate Gav, he was, he obviously sat there all day doing nothing else other than playing a fucking Green Hill Zone or whatever it was called, just over and over. So he was brilliant at it, and I could sit and watch him play, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. And I'd play it, and like 3 seconds in, bit of speed, hit something.
You'd take a bit of speed, and then you'd play Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
Although we dab a speed to the track.
Anyway, moving on from your drug habit, Jurassic farts. It's a bit wet, that one. I think you might have followed through. Says Magic Land Dizzy on the C64.
Classic. That's out of Towley's top drawer. That would be Towley's answer. Dizballs.
Says my dad made a computer room in a closet, and I shut myself in and completed it.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
The boy under the stairs. What's that all about? His dad built a room in a cupboard and
computer room. I think one of my friends used to have a computer room under the stairs.
Love that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I was talking to Mrs. Cundy the other day about I can see
keep
why
it clean.
I can see why men get like dens, or like an area where the kids aren't allowed.
Yeah.
I can't get on the fucking telly.
Yeah.
They're always on it. They're always like they're playing my games. I'm like, I want to get, and they go bed fairly late now, and I'm getting on in years, so I get tired pretty quick now. I have me prunes and me Sanatogen, and then keep my Lucasade next to the bed, and I just can't. And it's like, Steph, we need to get a room. We need to get a room. I don't want just a man den.
Not together.
I want me and Steph, me and Mrs. Cundy to have use of it. She'd be allowed in. I wouldn't be like mental or nothing. But I can understand now why that happens. Why men make like cinemas in their garage and stuff like that.
Just make yourself one, mate. A little man space.
I got no room. I could do it under this desk, I suppose.
There you go.
Put, like, a curtain around
Get a nice big velvet curtain.
Where's Dad? He's under the desk.
Yeah.
The velvet curtain. Go on the neck curtains.
Don't interrupt him. You don't want to see what's going on in there.
Kids.
I never. Just going back to Jurassic Fart's answer there. I never got into Dizzy. I really liked the idea of it, and I liked the idea of like the puzzle elements and stuff. But I bloody hated it. I think it was just I could never sort of accept that an egg wearing boxing gloves was like an aspirational character. Whereas
just weigh him down.
Whereas Cool Spot, the red dot off the 7-Up can, was wearing sunglasses. Oh, that sung to me. That did. That was good shit.
So you were sold on that. Yeah. But it is amazing how Dizzy, because I do feel like I do end up still. Dizzy comes up in conversation more than he probably deserves to. Was he that culturally impactful back then? I don't know.
I don't know. Isn't he just like a laughing stock now? We already talked, didn't we, recently on a podcast about the they made a comeback, didn't they, with Dizzy? Is it the Oliver twins?
Yeah.
And they came back with another one, and it was like, oh my word, and it just got panned. The one on iPhone and iPad was dreadful. And then I think they tried to do. We've done this, haven't we? They tried to do a Kickstarter, and it failed miserably.
Yeah. But I think they wanted like $2 billion or something like that to do it. But maybe I don't know. Was it maybe the games were that good? They still deserve to be talked about. A lot of people do remember them fondly. So
just like Jurassic Farts, because it led him on to loving games.
Yeah, well that's good. Well done, Dizzy.
Yes,
well done everyone involved.
Eddie Rose says Streets of Rage 2 and Sonic on my friend's Mega Drive. Also a 90s platformer called Oscar we had on the family computer.
Does he mean the Famicom, as in the family, or does he just mean the computer that the family used?
I'm pretty sure
he means the computer the family used.
Yeah,
I like being referred to as the family computer.
Oscar.
Now I've got computers coming out my arse here. Now kids have got pads. Everyone's got a screen.
It's on the Amiga.
Oscar. Was it a person or an animal or what?
He was an animal. Was weird.
Aardvark.
It was just search for it in Google. It's the top one.
I can't be arsed.
He's a weird character. He's dressed up as like
Oscar game.
Like a Vietnam vet, a vampire, a dude with a yo-yo, and Indiana Jones.
Oh, he's like multi-talented.
Multitasker.
He's got all boxes ticked. Yeah, he looks a bit. I don't remember
that. Streets of Rage 2 though. Streets of Rage 2. I love Streets of Rage 1. Streets of Rage 2 infuriated me because they got rid of my favourite character. They got rid of Adam. They kept Blaze and Axel, and then they introduced Adam's nephew, I think it was, or cousin, Skate, who wore a pair of fucking rollerblades. And that was only because they were popular at the time, rollerblades. That's the only reason why they introduced him. It's like, hey, look, we're part of the pop culture. I was furious. Honestly, Adam was my favourite character.
I've heard you get angry about this before as well.
It lights a fire underneath me every time.
That Oscar, just a bit more. I used to love stuff like this. All the levels were Hollywood based, so it was like sci-fi, western, horror. I know you said before we looked like Indiana Jones and all that, but yeah, you were going and you had to find Oscars. So I used to love levels that I used to love games that the levels were very distinct. I used to love going into like a new area and seeing it. It's one of my favourite bits of games, and like a Hollywood one that would have been great because some levels were just like different colours, like the same as the one before, but grey instead of red.
Yeah, true.
True that.
Russ Griffiths says Summer Games on the Amiga. Used to play
Summer Games.
Makes me feel fine. Used to play it at my friend's house with my bros. Made me appreciate the social side of gaming. Was Summer Games the Ocean one?
Epics, I think.
Was it?
I think it's Epics, and it had the hacky sack, and it was half pipe BMX. I used to like the roller skating one. We had to like dodge dog turds, or it's probably banana skins or something.
There was
skins.
Hang on, which one are you talking about? Say that again. Which one's?
Summer Games, Epics, EPYX. I think that's who did it on the C64 anyway. Come on. They did.
No,
I know. I'm thinking of California.
You're thinking of California Games, which is the one that I just mentioned. Yeah, Ocean. Ocean.
That was Epic's as well, I think.
No, it wasn't.
I didn't think Ocean had anything to do
Ocean.
with it.
Not Ocean. What? What's it called? Come on.
Summer Games had
diving in it and stuff like that.
Yeah, do you know what? Winter Games, that was my bag. Summer Games.
Yeah, it was California Games and it was Epic's and US Gold, is it?
US Gold, yeah, there was
US Gold.
Publishers.
Yeah.
Because it used to have the
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd have like ceremonies, opening ceremonies and stuff in the game. I used to love that. I used to love that series. They had world games as well, and you had to do log in.
Yeah.
And did they do caber tossing, or did I just? They had sumo.
I think So I think Summer Games was literally the Olympics, but without the license. So
I wonder if you put Winter Games. I used to like because that had hot dogging, like hot dog.
Dogging.
Hot dogging, it was called.
They had a dogging section.
And it's like so you're downhill.
It sounds it. If you're going dogging, you are literally on the slippery slope downhill.
Downhill on the skis, you go off the ramp at the end, and then you have to do all the tricks. I used to love that hot dogging.
Hot dog. Oh, do you remember the moguls on the Winter Games one? Do you remember that?
Moguls? What are moguls?
Where you was like on skis and they do those quick little bumps, and they're like, and then they do like a flip in the air and stuff. It's like really quick. No?
Was that on Winter Games as well?
Yeah.
Games. I remember the one where you had to do you'd be skiing and then you'd stop and do a bit of shooting. What was that called?
I
used to love that as well.
It's like
epic.
It's like snowcross or something like that, wasn't it?
Ski shoot.
Skidoo. Yeah.
Just say what you see.
Just say what you see. I'm not seeing anything, so can I just move on?
Epics are really good because all those game series, they were the first ones that introduced the rhythmic joystick waggling as opposed to just frantically
bashing buttons.
Frantically doing the joystick thing.
Yeah.
Epics were the first ones that introduced like the more rhythmic controlled thing, and they were really good. I concur with whoever that was that said. I can't remember Summer Games.
Russ Griffiths.
I would have played it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we definitely played it.
Russ wins.
Flavor Dave says Ghostbusters on the NES. It was the first game I remember playing in co-op with my dad to completion. Good times.
Wow.
Good times.
Was that the?
That's the bit where you used to drive around in the car. Is it Ecto 1? Is that what it was called? The car.
Oh,
you drive around in the car and you would see like a flashing thing on the map, and you would have to drive to it. And then you'd have to take out the ghosts that were there.
Who? Was it Dave Crane? Who was it that developed that? Who was the?
I'm starting to think we should have looked through the answers first, so that we could have done some research rather than this ad hoc, just diving in. What's that?
Because it had the speech at the start, really.
Yeah.
And apparently the speech, it wasn't real speech. It was just. The way he managed to manipulate the SID chip or something, so it wasn't actual digitized speech. It was just noises,
just
made
nonsense.
Like about that, like that, didn't it?
Yeah. I remember that. We've got an answer from Teisel here. Come on, Cundy.
Teisel.
Yeah.
What's Teisel?
Oh, I didn't even remember him. Well, Paul, I remember you. Paul Teisel, who we used to work with at Future Publishing. Unbelievable. Cundy's, honestly.
I remember.
Out of sight, out of mind.
I was slightly distracted by trying to find out who did Ghostbusters. It was David Crane.
Right.
And there was a very interesting interview with him on YouTube that I found the other day. I might stick it up on... can I stick it up on that place that we've got?
Oh, yeah. Let's mention that at the end, though, yeah?
Okay, yeah. Shh. Teisel, what's me old mate? Teisel.
Well, I don't think you're going to be old friends now. If he sees you walking around Bristol, he's just going to blank you.
You set me up for that.
I've set you right up. He says Doom was the game for him. Ex-girlfriend's brother sits me down in front of his PC one night after the pub, and he said he was instantly hooked. And then came Quake 3 Arena. So
I think I was
into his shooters.
I think I was more Quake because that's what we used to play in the office. But Doom. I wonder if he's enjoying the new Doom.
Ask him.
When
you see him.
Are you enjoying the new Doom, Paul? Because I am. I played the demo.
Good.
I can't really be a judge of it because I've not played it enough. But I know a lot of people are enjoying it.
Right.
Might get on it. I see Hooters.
I need to get a new game. Yeah, I've seen Hoots. He's been making his own levels and stuff, hasn't he?
Said he's been making maps, but I don't. They're not like playable or something. Well, they're playable, but it's more like an adventure thing or something. I don't know. I need to again.
You only half read stuff and then just pretend that you're a professional on it.
Yeah.
The next one's from Keith Cassidy, who says Elite on the Spectrum, or on the Specky, as it was affectionately known. On a black and white telly in my bedroom, in between bouts of frantically wrestling with myself.
Happy days, brings back all the memories.
All the memories from like yesterday for me, and the day before, that.
Don't have time for that anymore. Don't have time to fit it in my schedule.
Once you get your little velvet curtain over the top of your computer desk, you'll have plenty of time for that.
You got to make time for a bit of me time, haven't you?
I don't remember Elite. I know it's like made a comeback recently, but I don't remember it that much.
Yeah,
was you an elite boy?
I played more. There's another game that was very similar called Mercenary, and
Mercenaries.
No, not plural. Mercenary.
Mercenaries.
I might even have talked about it in the C64 section once.
Mercenaries.
No, Mercenary. Not Mercenaries. The Activision drive around.
Pandemic game.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't that. This one you had to you drove around in it was similar wireframe. You had a spaceship, fly about, do stuff.
Right.
But similar to that, but not as big as Braben's classic.
Apples. I always think of Braben Apples whenever I say his name. Rob Conker says, hard to say, but some of my earliest gaming memories are of playing an unlicensed Atari 2600 console called the TV Boy. It had 127 stolen games built into it, all of which were hacked to swap colours and remove company logos. My parents bought it for me and my sister, though, from Argos. Pretty fucking shady, he says. And he's also put a little link on it, which he's put a link to the video of what it looked like. So we'll stick that on our little secret thing as well.
That's the sort of thing. Yeah, that's the sort of thing my folks would have bought for me rather than buy the proper thing. Just buy the this looks pretty
shady box. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks pretty much the same. It's like a tenth of the price, but sure it'll be that's what you want.
I mean, it is out of the back of this man's van, but I'm sure he is going into Argos to deliver the goods. Pull it in. Alistair Miller says Streets of Rage and Sonic on the Sega, so that'll be the Mega Drive. Though I was a tot when I played them, so never really got past level 1. Welcome to Cundy's world. Many hours spent on those level 1s though in my toddler times, so that was quite early to be getting into Streets of Rage and Sonic.
It's a good introduction, isn't it? Because you just playing the same bit over and over. Eventually, you'll get good, I suppose. It's
good to remember those bits, like your druggy mate who was just playing the same level over and over again. Green Hill Zone champion. Jordan Jabroni says Tomb Raider. I've had a Sega Sega MD. What's that? A Mega Drive. McDonald's.
Sega McDonald's.
I just never seen Sega Mega Drive written down like that before. I was like, as a baby, but TR changed everything. That and Spider-Man on the PS1. Oh, Spider-Man on the PS1 was pretty decent.
Yeah, I'll go with Spider-Man. I'm not fussed about, but Tomb Raider, yeah, again, that was another moment game.
Tomb Raider was massive. I remember almost jumping out of my tiny knickers when your first introduction to those wolves. They just jump out from nowhere. It's like drop the pad.
Because it's the build up to that. There's quite a lot of nothing going on for a while, isn't there?
Yeah. And it's just nicely paced, and it's like, oh, look at this, oh, look at that, holy shit, where have these dogs come from? Rabbit dogs.
Just lining up the jumps, just insane. Just imagine if someone released a game like that. You had to just be so.
I know.
Forward, back, jump back twice.
Was it Tomb Raider 1 where you could do like a handstand into the pool, or was that the second one?
I think you do the swan dive. Yeah, it must have been the first one because I don't think I played much of the second one.
Right.
What's the one with the Medusa's touch, Midas touch, where if you touch she would turn into gold? What was that? That must have been the first one again, because
I can't remember. I don't even know if I finished the Tomb Raider apart from the most recent one on PS3.
Yeah, I finished the PS1 one. Oh yeah, I've done a few Tomb Raiders in my time. Which one had the farting butler?
The farting butler?
Yeah, if you went using her mansion, and there's like a little obstacle course, like where she's like a gym or something, and the butler, if you
was that the first one?
It might have been the second one. I didn't think I played the second one. Again, it all just blends in. Anything past last week just blends into the past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
But you walk into him and he farted.
Really?
Best bit of the game.
Right. Yeah, I can see why. It's at your level, that. Right at your level. Bertie D says the earliest game I can remember that I actually enjoyed was probably the Space Invaders knockoff Space Raiders on the Specky. Weren't they a brand of cheap crisps?
10p crisps or something.
Hang on, no, weren't they? Because they weren't technically crisps, were they? There was maize. Yeah. Yeah.
That's bloody maize. Maize is a coup.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I don't remember Space Raiders.
Space Raiders. It was like Space Invaders.
Yeah. Good. Cheers for that. Because I think that's what Bertie D's already said. And the final one is from Dean Brown, who says, those early 3D games made me believe anything could be done. I'll never forget the T-Rex in Tomb Raider.
Boom. Early, yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. Good time. The T-Rex. Yeah, that was good.
Good answers there. Well done, everyone.
Yeah, that was good. Should do that more often.
Yeah, we will do. We will. Make sure that you follow us at Cundy Nathan Show on Twitter, and we'll be posing a few more of those questions because enjoyed that. Enjoyed it. Keep them coming.
Rewind, we love nostalgia. Rewind, come on, sing it, daddy. Rewind, my video game selector. Boink.
That new jingle can only mean one thing.
Ooh.
Oh, it's a new section.
Ooh.
The rewind section.
Rewind.
So we haven't killed off we've laid it to rest alongside this new section because we can still put the C64 bit in there, can't we?
It's just been opened up.
It's just been opened up to include everything. All of games. It feels like the last part of the podcast was all about retro stuff, but I like that. I like being able to reach back to when games had like more diversity.
Being able to reach around, mate.
So yeah, this is the new rewind section where we reach back into time and we pull out some gaming history that we feel needs to be reappraised. So, sorry, what? What was that? What was that, mate?
I'm just kind of like acting like an echo.
Right. Okay.
So the last word of your sentence, I just kind of repeat back to you.
Like a parrot.
Parrot.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, fantastic. This is going well. I like this. So what's
up then? What's up?
I'm going to kick off this week. Because you've done a sterling job with the C64 bits. So
forget it.
So I'll kick off this week and make it better. With my the first one that we're going to do this week is the VIC-20.
Oh, the Commodore VIC-20.
The Commodore VIC-20, yes. Yes, the
Hello, Commodore.
Hello. So yes, we're going to do the VIC-20. And the reason we're going to talk about that is because it's one of those machines that a lot of people seem to remember hearing about, but I don't think a lot of people actually had them. They was clunky, they was like big beige horrible things with a separate tape deck, and if you thought the Spectrum and Amstrad were bad and the Commodore 64 was bad for loading games, the Commodore VIC-20 was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Like 1 in a million games would work, which I'll get onto in a second. But it's an 8-bit home computer by Commodore. It came out in, it was announced in 1980. It actually came out in 1981.
Oh. And
do you know what the US introductory price was when it came out, Matthew?
I do, but just tell me anyway.
$299.95. That is mental. Given the cost of inflation from now until then, what's that? From then until now? Yeah, it's about £10 billion. I think it is. But the reason why I remember it so fondly was I think it was my very first computer that I ever had that was mine. I've obviously had like Spectrums and Amstrads and stuff afterwards, but the VIC-20 was mine. I had no idea where it turned up from. It was kept at my grandparents' house. I had no idea where it turned up from. There was no box for it. There was all the wires and the actual machine itself was kept in. You know those old lady like shopping carts on wheels that they have. Yeah. You don't see much of them anymore. But that's what it was kept inside of. It was my grandma's, and it was just kept loose in there. So all the wires were all tangled up. All the games were like floating around within the wires and at the bottom of this thing, which had like, you know, biscuit residue and all the rest of it down at the bottom. And I remember like every time I'd finish playing with it, like my granddad would just pick it up and just put it all back in the bag. Like he wouldn't sort the wires out or anything like that. It'd just be get back in the bag.
Just get in there. That's it. Stuff it in.
Get in there. And I think that might have had something to do with the fact that it would barely work on occasions. So there was one of my fondest memories of it was I used to try it every single time that I went to my grandparents, which was quite a lot because I was pretty young back then.
Yeah.
Every time we used to go around, I used to try and make it work every single time. And I think it must have gone on for about over a month, 2 months or so, and it wouldn't work. Just would not work. And we talked about getting new wires for it, talked about getting new plugs and all the rest of it. No one knew where to get it from. My uncle and auntie, who were responsible for getting technology at that moment in time, didn't know where to get it from. So like going to Tandy and stuff like that, they just didn't have it. So I remember I thought, right, if it doesn't work this time, it's going in the bin because it doesn't work. And it was like, as I say, it was like maybe a couple of months later, I plugged it in, fired it up, and it worked. And it was one of my most happiest gaming moments ever. Just seeing that and thinking that I'd maybe like use some Fonzie strength to make it work again.
You just weren't expecting it, and then because your expectations were low,
very low,
and then boom,
and then boom, and then very high.
That's Commodore for you, mate.
That was the Commodore, but it was weird that it just sort of turned up from nowhere. But then again, my family used to go to my uncles and aunties used to go to the local chippy and come back with all types of stuff. They once came back with a puppy. Like I don't know if it was being sold and they saved it from being put in the deep fat fryer, but they came back from the chippy with a puppy once. So I imagine that's where they got the VIC-20.
I was aware of weird,
yeah,
a weird chippy, and I said funnily enough, it was when I used to go to the electrical college again. That's funny. There's been 2 stories this week based around the electrical college. Yeah, and there was a chippy just near the electrical college, and they had a little glass cabinet in there. And they obviously used to sell they'd obviously like Hooky Dave would come in or something and sell them whatever he had. Yeah. Hang on a minute, mate. Sorry, I've got to get the door. The door's just gone and I'm expecting something. Okay. Sorry. Hold that fort. Yeah. Hold the fort. Oh man.
Shocking, rudely interrupted there.
It's back. That's it. The kid's been buying Japanese sweets off the internet.
Yeah, whatever, mate.
Well,
That's shaped like a giant rubber fist, so I don't want to know what you're getting up to.
Right, well, I've put my mic back on about the right place, so
let's hope so. So
where was I?
You was telling me about a shady chippy that used to sell dodgy stuff.
I had this glass cabinet, and they always had stuff in there, and the best one I saw that was when they had some tins of dog food. They had tins of dog food, and draped over the tins of dog food was a selection of like lingerie.
What?
So you could go in there and buy
just like a dog's dinner.
Well, you go in there, get your fish and chips, and if you wanted it, get some dog food and
some lingerie.
Sexy underwear for the missus.
It's quite a niche to be having that.
Funny old place that was in Plymouth. That was Pennycross, I think.
I think that's like the 80s had a different sort of approach to like
fish and chips.
To fish and chips, yeah. Yeah, it was like the black market when you went in there. You could buy anything.
That's obviously what it was, yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, I remember. I think I had like must have come with like about 10 or 15 games, and I don't remember many of them working apart from Asteroids.
Asteroids, yeah.
Classic.
Good one.
Frogger.
Classic. I don't mind Frogger, but why does he die if he falls in the water? Doesn't make sense.
Because he's got lead boots on, mate.
I've had this problem. I've mentioned this millions of times, but it doesn't make any sense. Why?
Because it's toxic water.
Why?
It's toxic water.
I get it. He gets run over by cars. That's fine, but he's falling in the water. Oh no!
It's acid. Amphibian. It's not water. It's acid.
Yeah, but aren't there crocodiles in the water? They seem fine about it.
But they're acid crocodiles.
It doesn't make sense, mate.
All right. I mean, there's many things that don't make sense about Frogger, but you know, each to their own.
And he is the same size as the cars, which is the other thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the other game that I remember was one of your mates, Jeff Minter.
Oh, Minter, yeah.
Grid Runner. Do you remember Grid Runner?
Yeah, Grid Runner was great, yeah.
And those were the 3 games that would work on occasion out of the 15 games that I had. But this probably tells you how sad and desperate I was to play games back then. When none of the games worked, I would make up my own game, which would involve holding down the down arrow key on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And then I would type out like loads of H's. Yeah, specifically remember this. Type out loads of H's or M's in a row, like Space Invader, and then I'd hold down, and then I'd pretend that every time I pressed down, it would shoot one of the rows away. It was basically, I was desperate for games, and that was the only thing that I had. And if you held down and pressed like I or something like that, it would look like it's shooting a laser up.
Right.
Honestly, it was desperate times.
I just got images
God.
of you sitting doing this on a Vic 20 with a Terrapin in your lap.
Yeah, we're having fun, aren't we, Terry? Let's play this game.
How did you know he's called Terry?
Terry Pin. I tell you what, Frogger was an all right game. I mean, it
was.
You know, Crossy Roads is obviously the obvious evolution of it. And I like Frogger.
I mean, would you like to ask me any questions about the Vic 20?
Not really.
No.
Well, the Vic 20. Basically, if you had just a cursory glance, you wouldn't see any difference between the shell of the Vic 20 and a Commodore 64.
No, I think they definitely built upon it.
They didn't worry about the Vic 20 of the Commodore 64 looking exactly the same. As there was no effort to be like, hey, look at this sexy new redesigned home computing device.
Yeah.
It was just like, we'll just rip the guts out.
Yeah.
We've still got loads of Vic 20s left. We'll put a Commodore 64 sticker on the top.
Exactly.
And put some new guts in it. That's it.
It didn't sell very well at all, which is one of the reasons why it was usurped by the Commodore And the Commodore 64, I think that was the next one that was after it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That's what came next. I think the VIC-20, it was. I didn't mind it. It was all right. It still had some colours, which is.
Shit, hang on. Let me just rewind that back. In 1982, the VIC-20. I know I'm reading from Wikipedia here, but I'm going to do it anyway. The VIC-20 was the best-selling computer of the year with 800,000 machines sold, and 1 million had been sold by the end of the year.
So not as bad as you thought.
No, but it says sales were slow at first due to reliability problems, which is probably why my machine would not work.
Slow at first because delivery back then was just, everything was slower back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. It just,
everything.
I like, the reason why I like to talk about the VIC-20 is because it sort of like reminds me of a time when games had that sort of power to blow you away. There's, maybe it's just because we're a little bit older and we spent so long playing games, but it just feels like games are no more complicated than they were back then. I don't think anyway. When you boil it down, like Call of Duty is just like just shoot that thing and then interact with that other thing.
Moving and pressing fire.
Yeah, exactly. But like, back then, like when you played Frogger for the first time, it's like, this is what am I doing? This is mental. This is a really good game, like really addictive as well. Same with that Grid Runner as well. I remember spending loads of time playing that. That was like, it was like the snake coming towards you, down the rows. It was a little bit like Space Invaders, except it was like a snake on a grid that came at you. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think I played Grid Runner Plus, not recent. Not
yeah,
that
you probably
long ago.
Yeah. It was on Vita, wasn't it? Possibly.
I don't know what I played it on.
Anyway,
I played it in my mind.
But yeah, like the VIC-20 was like, it was a terrible machine, even when I was playing it at the time. But it still just reminds me of a time when it was like, oh wow, this is like fantastic. And as I say, still one of my biggest achievements to this day with regards to video games and computers was when I managed to get it working again through no real, just fudging, just messing with the wires and just trying to make it work again. Determination.
It was your terrible machine, wasn't it?
It was my terrible machine. You're right. But that was I almost said that like Frogger was my gateway game into loving video games. But it wasn't until I got the Spectrum and Chaos that I was like, right, yeah,
properly
this is the good shit. Because I couldn't have like Frogger as my main game where I wanted I wanted more and more from it because it barely worked. So my vision of computers back then, while I was playing the VIC-20, was they're unreliable. But still, well worth having a little chat about, having a little reminder.
My mate had one. He did have a a VIC-20, and I remember he had it's a game. He was in an aeroplane, and the aeroplane went across the screen. So it went out right-hand side of the screen, reappeared on the left-hand screen like magic, and you had to bomb the buildings, like skyscrapers. Otherwise, you crashed into the buildings.
Was that Blitz? I think it was called.
Oh, it might have been Blitz, mate. Yeah, well remembered. Yeah, I was racking my brain trying to think what it was, but I was going
to say Harrier Attack, but there aren't that many buildings in that. It's more just sort of like SAM sites and other bolts and things. But I remember Blitz was like, yeah. In fact, I probably had that.
I think it came with the VIC-20 even.
Yeah.
I think it may have even been like, like a bundled-in job, or came with it or something.
That's a weird one actually, because I always thought that Blitz. I always thought I played that on the Spectrum or the Amstrad, but it was Now that you mention it, it was probably the VIC-20.
That is exactly it. Yeah, I'm just looking at screenshots of it now. That's it. Happy days. Looks awful, but sit there playing that for hours on end.
I mean, the thing, like, what I want to do with this section, what we want to do with this section, is sort of like just appreciate what games and computers actually gave us throughout the years, rather than just like, it had to look amazing. Like all pretty much, well, a lot of games have their own merits in their own rights. It doesn't have to be like, the most beautiful looking.
Exactly.
And that blitz, you probably play that for hours. Like you were saying before, at California Games, playing the hacky sack thing.
It was
hours.
Happy.
Hours.
It was the happy sack.
Yeah, playing it for hours, and the surfing bit on that. I know I've sort of like moved away from the VIC-20, but just those games were just like hours on end, the same thing over and over again.
Just happier times, mate, wasn't it?
It was. So next week it's Cundy's goal.
God, I'll have something brilliant lined up.
I'm sure it'll probably be C64 related, but you know.
And when rewind can be anything other than
anything.
So PS3 still too recent?
Yeah, no, can be PS3.
As long as it's not this gen.
As long as it's not this gen, yeah, we can dip back in.
This gen to the start of time.
Yes, so we can do it. So next week, Cundy will have his goal. It'll probably be, as I say, when I'm 64, C64, or not.
No, I'm definitely going to do something different.
Oh! And there we go. Another podcast finished. Done, mate.
Is that it?
Oh yeah. It's another not as long as usual. Not the 2 hours we usually do. Which is probably a good thing, to be honest. Because I do feel like towards the end of the podcast it's like, oh, what else have we got to? Let's just stop talking. My brain's gone. But we carry on anyway. We soldier on. So yeah, next week we'll have another podcast, obviously. Yeah. And almost ended without saying what we've got. Cundy choking on his own rage that he was almost forgotten there. We've got a blog. We have a blog. Hello, Mr. Blog. We have a blog. Look at me.
Look at my blog.
There is currently, as we speak, one post on there. But do go and check it out. We will be posting regular stuff on there. I say regular. It'll be regular as possible. It's cundyandnathanshow.wordpress.com. And we'll post the link out on Twitter as well. But yeah, we're going to use the site or the blog, to just put up things that we talk about on the podcast as well. Because sometimes, like, we talk about things and we don't have any sort of visual representation of it, and you're left scratching your head going, what the So that's going to fill in that gap now for total immersion.
Well, I might put up that. I was going to put up that Ghostbusters video, isn't I?
Do it.
I'm going to do that. I might even be there by the time people are listening.
Well,
to the podcast.
It's not going.
I'm not going to promise anything though.
It's not going up until tomorrow, so it should be fine.
Oh God.
Oh, pressure's on. Pressure's on. Anyway, so it's the end of another podcast. So thank you very much for listening, as always. Do tune in again next week for more of this nonsense. But it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from moi.
Goodbye.
Hello, lovely listener. It's Cundy here. Are you enjoying your weekly dollop of tangential gaming gas bagging and mouthpiece merrymaking? If you are being entertained by our humble little podcast, please consider becoming a patron and pledging some money to show your support. To make a pledge, simply go to cundyandnathan.podbean.com and hit the big green Become a Patron button. It's that simple. Thank you in advance for being so wonderful. Give us $1 or maybe 10, and in return we'll be your friend and maybe make the podcast better.